Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the latest episode of Hawkeye, Partners, Am I Right? And I overall enjoyed this episode, but it has gotten to a point where I really like the character work that the show is doing overall, especially in regards to Clint Barton and getting into his headspace and understanding how he operates, kind of who he is, and how he's dealing with the fallout of everything that he's pretty much gone through. And also building up Kate. However, the overarching plot is kind of bare. We get a little movement on it in this episode, but it's not the most engaging thing that we've got. That's mainly the character interactions between Clint and Kate. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking, okay, I am enjoying this. We've got good action scenes. We've got good things going on. We've got these people really know and really are able to dig into and allow Clint to do his thing, and that's really good. But I'm looking at it and thinking, is the 6 episodes pretty much at an hour apiece is kind of stretching this plot to a point where it's like, okay, it's not really working that well. Where you could have, I'm looking at this and thinking, wow, this could have been pretty much like a 2-hour movie, pretty much. Like, I mean, granted, you would have to condense a lot of things, but with the character interaction we've got, I'm like, they got that on pat. They got good chemistry with Clint and Kate to pretty much get that kind of pass off eventually. However, you would think that since this is kind of like getting towards the end of the series, you'd want to move a little bit faster on that, because we are getting Kate trained a little bit, especially in this episode, but it's like, right? Is she gonna pretty much be like Hawkeye by the end of this? And we've got the other kind of things of having Echo thrown in with this, and of course everybody's like, I've heard things about things going on, and we get another character that's kind of thrown in here, and it's like, alright. Granted, it was set up within Black Widow, but you're like, alright, we kind of need at least a little bit more connection. Now, granted, I'm looking at this and there's like this crazy shit going on. I'm like, shouldn't Spidey and Doctor Strange be doing something? Or at least also, Bucky. Because Bucky, at least from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, was based in New York. Now, granted, Spidey's got his problems with his identity, and Strange gets drawn up into that, which we will probably see, like, things in the next Spidey movie that's coming out next week. And it'll be like, hey, he can't really be doing that kind of shit because everybody's trying to get his ass. I understand that. But you're like, there's got to be some other heroes popping up or whatnot, or like anybody checking in and be like, hey, Barton, you kind of got some problems over there that you might need assistance with? Now, I know that that's not that big of a problem, but as long as you just take a little bit of time and be like, okay, most of them are pretty much on break after the whole events of Endgame, because everybody's like, we did this big fucking battle, and so they're all taking care of their own shit. And you just need to do that kind of little thing of it. But let's get into the meat of this episode. So we start off pretty much right from the cliffhanger that we had, Jack Duquesne pretty much having this sword to Hawkeye's like, who the fuck? Oh shit, you're an Avenger. And then instead of Jack being monologuing kind of villain and actually kind of revealing himself, we see that him and Eleanor, Kate's mom, are there, and they kind of sit down and chat. Of course, Kate brings up everything that she's kind of been doing and gives them a kind of rundown. But Clint is like tight-lipped as possible. But like, yeah, it's kind of Avengers business. She's like, why aren't like the other Avengers kind of handling this kind of thing as well? Why do you kind of need my untrained collegiate daughter doing shit with you? And he's like, I'm not at liberty to. Well, he doesn't. He's like, whatever. I got this. Don't worry. And Eleanor's able to be like, yeah, somebody kind of looked into with my login from a laptop. Anything about that? Yeah, we were looking into like this whole kind of shit and everything. Jack's kind of being disarming and everything. Clint's like, yeah, playing it like as cool as possible, least amount of words as possible. Like, yeah, all right. And Eleanor's mom walks him out and says, like, listen, I don't want anything to happen to my daughter. He's like, don't worry, I'll do everything I can to make sure nothing happens to your daughter. And pretty much keeps mom and plays the kind of cool route and everything, but we definitely see that concern from Kate's mom. So Hawkeye kind of leaves. we see that they have their kind of own little kind of chat and everything, and it's actually kind of a nice kind of moment. We see Jack doing all these kind of like wrong sayings and everything, dancing with Eleanor and all that, talking about like a Christmas party and all that kind of stuff because Eleanor wants Kate to kind of do that and kind of groom her for understanding why somebody would need those kind of holiday parties, even though, granted, on one hand, I understand the morale boost of like having corporate holiday parties, but then there's also the horrors of, oh my god, it's a corporate holiday party and all the shit that kind of entails with that. And the thing is, Eleanor's like, oh, you're good with that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, just because you say it doesn't mean we believe you, because everything we've seen in this series, she doesn't really have that many friends. Like, it's really kind of weird. She hasn't really contacted anybody to do anything that would get you to understand that she's really good at throwing parties or going to parties or doing any of that kind of stuff. And we've barely seen her mucking about within the office, so it's kind of like, alright. It's not that big of a thing, but like, if you're gonna bring it in as a kind of plot thing, you need to do something with it. And also that police officer got dropped like ain't nobody's business, who called in and was like, hey, we kind of need you to like talk with us. Now granted, time is kind of a little bit wonka-doo-dah here. We're about like 3 days to Christmas within its timeline, so I don't know if we're still on the same day or not. Events kind of move at a nice kind of clip, but it's kind of hard to gauge certain things. Well, they pretty much go with on that. She seems to be warming up to Jack and everything, but we see that Clint is able to get in contact with his wife, and through their kind of contacts and information, and they're able to find out that Sloan Limited, the company that is pretty much laundering money for the Tracksuit Mafia, CEO is Jack Duquesne. So it's like, okay, what the fuck is his game goal and everything? Oh, and Clint was also able to lift the Ronin sword from him, so I'm like, god damn. If anything, this series does a very good job of showcasing that Clint Barton is a fucking awesome dude and a badass. So he's decided he got that information from his wife, pretty much went home and wrapped all these kind of like daiquiri fucking things to like ice himself. And I fucking love that they are truly going in with really showcasing the trials and tribulations of non-powered heroes here. Very John McClane thing. He's doing all this stuff. It's like, shit. And see, the thing is, when Kate was talking with Jack and her mom, she's like, hey, they could do all this kind of stuff, but she realizes that for the holidays, that Clint doesn't have that. So she comes in, pizza. We see that Pizza Dog comes in and fucking jacks into this like bowl of cheese. It's I'm like, god damn, that dog knows what the fuck is up. And she's brought pizza and all this kind of stuff, and has all these movies and everything, and she's like, listen, I know it was supposed to be movie night for you guys, so I got all these. And the thing is, we see a lot of good Christmas movies, but they should have had fucking Die Hard in there. Should have. It's a fucking Christmas movie, damn it, just like Iron Man 3. But it was really cool to kind of see them bonding here. She even got him on ugly fucking sweater. He fucking wears it. They make up a Christmas tree, and the thing is, it doesn't seem like much. It seems like, why the fuck are we watching this? We should be doing stuff with the plot. And to an extent, I do agree with you, because we did only get the main development that we get plot-wise is that Jack Duquesne is the CEO of Sloan Limited, and that Eleanor gets in contact with somebody to, I guess, alert them to the fact that an Avenger is fucking dealing with their shit. That's about it. Otherwise, we get this nice character moment of seeing that Kate does understand that she has severely fucked up something. Now, granted, I don't think she understands the level of fuck-upness, if you want to use that as a gauge. But she does try and make this up to him, and it's really cool to see. So they're doing stuff with the tree, and he's like, yeah, I could do this kind of stuff. He needs to get his trick arrows back. Granted, they're pretty much formulating plans and everything like that. He's like, well, I need to get my trick arrow. So I'm like, all right. Now, granted, that's more towards the end of this, and they decide to go visit the LARPers again because they're police, firefighters. They should be able to get in and get those things. And I'm just thinking, did that, like, giant spear-like one go back to little size? Or is this just sitting in a lockup as a fucking giant thunder spear thing? Like, this wasn't a fucking bridge! I'm weird. I really like to delve into lore and the understanding of how things kind of work in a universe. So if it's on a timer and the Pym particles shrink it back to its usual size, I kind of like to know that shit. And I would think it kind of works out that way because when we eventually get to the arrows coming back, they all fit in a bag. So I would think that he would want, like, the embiggening arrow back. So the thing is, we see them doing this stuff. We see that Clint's like, yeah, I can do this kind of stuff with and just make these kind of shots. He's like, I'll prove it. And he's able to do it with like this little ornament and turn the TV off. And she's like, holy fucking shit, how can you do that? And then he's able to kind of train her to do it from like a hallway. Now granted, she takes a couple tries, and I like that, okay? It helps to build the character up to be like, okay, they don't get... I like these little kind of training moments because it shows us who the character is. If they get it on the first shot, we see how they react to that. To either that smugness of superiority, which evidently we're going to get that pride getting like knocked like a motherfucker or something pops along. Or we see how they deal with failure. If they immediately quit or get easily frustrated, or if they keep trying as Kate is able to do. And now granted, it's not as kind of a crazy a shot as Clint was able to do. She just cracks it and it's like, oh, okay. And she's able to kind of learn from it. And I like that kind of tutelage that they do. Then they start talking about, like, more kind of personal stuff as she's like, all right, what's the best shot you ever made? And he explains that it was the best shot that he never made, actually. She's like, okay, come on, you got to explain that. And you kind of get the feeling, all right, it probably is Nat. And he's like, I was sent to bring someone down because he was like a weapon. You aim me at someone and I take him out. And this is kind of like bringing her down in her kind of hero worship because Clint is pretty much a Black Ops kind of guy. And he's usually sent to take care of a problem, and him acknowledging this and telling her, yeah, I was supposed to take her out, but I just couldn't because I could see that she wanted out and she wanted to like change, and it's really kind of cool. And it shows that depth of a bond that him and Nat had. And he's like, she's starting able to like put everything together about like the snap and everything, and understands that like, what's this connection with Ronan? And she's like, oh, you were Ronan. Like, she tried to be like, okay, what'd you do during the snap and everything? He's trying to like deflect and everything, and she's like, you were Ronan. I was like, yeah, and everybody dealt with it in their own ways, and I really liked that we were able to kind of bring this up because I really wanted them to dig a little bit deeper, but they really didn't go that deep of like, I know it sounds crazy that like he's this hero and everything, and him being in the superpowered realm, that was kind of a shift and adjustment because he's more of a Black Ops kind of dude. So he understands solving his problems like that. And you see it. He goes down and he does this kind of arithmetic to a degree in how he handles these things. He's like, boom, boom, boom. Seeing his thought process, you understand how he got to this. And the thing is, with the Thanos snap, yeah, it was as fair as Thanos said it was. That, like, it didn't pick one over the other. But then, because of this random chance, this whole man lost his whole family. And then he sees all these organized crime people, all these people that make life horrible for others. They're still alive. I mean, even though I'm not one to get superbly angry or rage-induced, you can understand the level of rage that would do to a man like that who has lost all of his family, and them motherfuckers are still up, and they're hurting people, and they're doing that, and he would just be like, the only way I fix that is if I end them. And he doesn't, like, get that in depth, but he's like, that little thing that he needs to say, everybody dealt with it in their own kind of way. And it's kind of crazy because Kate also needs to kind of... Clint's probably confused as to why she would hero worship him the way she does. And she needs to kind of bring that up as well, because we kind of see that kind of fracturing a little bit towards the end. Not much, but mainly because of, again, Clint's kind of hang-ups as well that we see. Not that he's, like, nuts or whatnot, but he's got that kind of understanding. We also see that Clint goes to Kazi and pretty much tries to get him to talk down Maya and be like, listen, revenge doesn't work. And he is like the best person to say on that because he was Ronin and going after people and doing it his own kind of revenge way. And he understands that. And that was a really great scene because Kazi's going through the whole kind of car trying to get his knives, his guns, and Clint's like, nope. And he's like, can you give me my gun back? And I'm like, so you can fucking shoot me? Fuck no. Goes out of the car, tosses it up. And he's like, damn it. So that was a cool little thing. We see that Kate goes to the LARPers, tries to get them to get the arrows back and everything, and she's like, wow, these guys are really kind of intense because we see them kind of practicing and everything, and like, all right, yeah, but you got a tit for tat kind of thing, see what it goes on. So Clint's coming back, like, hey, and we see the LARPers and everything in their kind of safe houses, like, did you get the arrows? They're like, yeah, we're working on that. They'll be back here soon. And we see, of course, one of the LARPers who's, how are they going to get their costumes? LARPers. And it's like, okay, cool. And they're trying to figure out how to, like, set this whole thing up and what they kind of want to do. And it's like, hey, yeah, you can make 2 costumes as well. So that's setting up Kate getting her costume and Clint getting his more kind of costume that we've seen in the promotional things. But the one lady comes back and she's like, hey, this is like a really personal bag for me. He's like, I'll give it back. But we need the arrows because we need to go do some shit. Let's see. Then we are shifting because Clint also was able to get information on the Rolex, the watch that we see that has been taken from Avengers Compound. And that evidently has information that would take out... that could lead to a good friend's cover being blown and them possibly being hurt and or killed. So Clint and Kate decide to go that route, and of course the tracker is still on it and they're able to locate it in this apartment. And they go to this rooftop and she's like, why are we up? Why are we here? Shouldn't we like be above? It's like, listen, he's trying to teach her, and this is really kind of cool because we see their different kind of styles. Now granted, I am more along Clint's line of like, I would rather have easily access to my escape routes and then be able to kind of figure out my in routes better. And he's like, all right, we'll do this. We'll use these kind of arrows to do this, but she's like down. She helps this old man carry his groceries in. And I'm just like, God damn it. Listen, you don't have to do everything exactly as Clint says. I'm not trying that. But the thing is, if you're trying to break into somebody's apartment, you want the least amount of people to see you and understand and be able to like pinpoint you into a building as possible, because hopefully they're able to go with the police officer, be like, yeah, why the fuck were you kind of in this neighborhood where like shit started going down, because you were also at another party where shit was going down, you know what I'm saying, you know? And we'll have to kind of see that because she's like trying to help the dude, and she's talking to Clint while she's in the elevator. And she's like, yeah, I'm talking to an Avenger. And he's like, all right, you crazy bitch, give me my food so I can leave. God damn. And she's able to get in there, get into the apartment, but she, of course, sets off an alarm. And she uses the putty arrows to, like, take out these lights. And she's like, what the fuck? Here, okay, I got the watch. But this person also has, like, a list of names and of your family and everything like that. We find out that it is Maya Lopez's apartment. And I'm like, yeah, that would make sense that she would have that kind of stuff in there. So even if she had, like, gone in another route, she probably would have had to deal with this security system, but Clint would have been able to kind of, like, talk her through it. But, however, Clint is then having to deal with another mass assailant that is attacking him as well. It's like, shit. Oh, also another funny thing is, like, Kate was bringing up how she was dealing with a bigger bow, but Clint has a collapsible bow. She's like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. So hopefully she gets the same kind of thing going on. Well, she is not prepared to deal with Maya Lopez, and she's like, shit. I need an assist here, because granted, she's got training and everything, but Maya's got training as well, and has probably dealt with street scenarios, and gave Clint a pretty good run for his money as well. So it's like, Yes, retreat is the better kind of option. Clint is able to utilize the kind of zip line arrow, and she tries to go through, and she stops, and she has to kind of like jimmy her way over a little bit. But Maya also comes over, and we get this kind of four-way kind of brawl that actually works pretty well. My only criticism is the lighting. It is not as bad as Game of Thrones. Fuck that. But I think a little bit more lighting would have benefited, especially since it's New York at night during Christmas. So I think it would have been a little bit brighter. I understand going for night though, but you are able to see clearly Clint fighting, Kate fighting, Maya fighting, and our mysterious masked assailant fighting. Mainly because, dang, you're able to differentiate because their costuming is enough that it's not like they're wearing the same kind of thing and you're like, what the fuck's going on? And it's kind of crazy because this fighter is doing some pretty good moves and everything. It's like, what the fuck's going on? And now granted, it's no thing to say that we do learn that this is Yelena, Nat's sister, because we see that she uses similar kind of gadgets. Instead of blue lighting on her like taser gauntlets, she's got red lighting. It's like, that's kind of interesting. But we see that Kate fires off some arrows at Maya. Maya's able to escape. Yelena pretty much puts Kate in a similar kind of position that happened out with Nat, and that really triggers Clint, and it's understandable. Like, he starts seeing this stuff from like Nat and all that, and that leads to his decision at the end of this episode. And he's like, Kate, get out of here. Because he can't deal with that again. Because, granted, he lost his family, and that led him down a dark path. And then he got his family back, but it cost him his friend, too. And not just his friend, like, a partner that he could count on completely and utterly. Like, they knew each other so well that they'd be able to synchronize in a fight without even talking. Or if they're talking, it's just banter, and it doesn't even really fucking affect their combat efficiency. You don't find that kind of synergy often. And seeing that, like, she was almost killed, it threw him. And the thing is, this was a good way to show kind of character moments for all three of them, because Yelena didn't immediately go for a kill. So that shows that she is not kind of completely bloodthirsty, and she wasn't going for a complete kill phase on Clint from the get-go. She's mainly trying to stun his ass, so I'm thinking she's more trying to interrogate him about Nat's death more than take the complete and utter revenge route. However, she kind of popped up out of fucking nowhere, so it's like, what? But they get back onto it. Her mask gets taken off, and we see her, and then she bugs out, and then we get to the kind of character fallout, and Clint's like, no, you're not my partner. You can't do this. I got a Black Widow on me now. I got to deal with this whole Ronin thing, and the thing is, since he doesn't have Nat anymore, and he's trying to do everything himself, he's like, all right. And I understand this because it's kind of similar to my own kind of thought and problem processing. It's like, he doesn't see Kate in a bad light. It's just, it's one more variable that he doesn't want to, like, get hurt and everything. He's like, if I take this out, I'll be able to do this more effectively, understand this, and get through this in this kind of way. And he's like, I don't need a partner. This is too dangerous. Tracksuit Mafia, everything going on. Now I've got a Black Widow on my ass. This is too dangerous for you. And he made the promise to his mom that he's not going to let anything happen to her daughter. He doesn't bring that up, though, but we see that Kate is hurt. And the thing is, I understand both characters. I can understand that young person trying to do their best for their hero and trying to help him out and understanding that they're kind of failing in certain respects, but that they can help them. But I also really get Clint because we've seen all this other stuff because you've been with him, and granted, I'm more closer to his age too, and understanding the consequences of your actions and what you're trying to do and how you need and the sacrifices you need to make. It's like, yeah, I get him, because he's like, I would rather have this young woman be pissed off at me than dead. You know, he can't fucking take that, and I get that, mainly just because I understand that kind of process and how I am like that, but also as like an older brother, it's like, it's not that you think that they're an infant and they can't do anything for themselves. I'm like, I'm just sitting here and I'm fucked up. No, it's just seeing those kind of people hurt, or seeing those close to you hurt, hurts worse than you getting hurt. Like, if he got his arm broken or sliced or ripped off, yeah, it's just another day on the job. You know what I mean? You see that for Clint. He's like, yeah, I'm iced up. Yeah, it fucking sucks, but I got it. You know what I mean? But if his family's gone, his partner's dead, that shit hurts him worse. And we've seen that, and you get that, and that's where it ends, and it's like, shit, okay. Now, all the character moments like that, all that stuff, I really, really like it. However, the plot is just thinner than I would like, so hopefully it ramps up more to get us to a kind of better state towards the end of this. Not that it's horrendous, I have seen vastly worse, and out of the Disney shows, this is the best one so far, even with its problems, but especially within the character department. They got that for me, so hopefully they're able to do that more effectively going forward. I understand that there's going to be growing pains, and these first ones are going to have that because we've got the movie side pretty much doing and moving into the TV side to do this kind of stuff, so there is going to be the nut things going on. So I just need at least a little bit more acceleration and more understanding of what Jack is supposed to be at this point, because we're 4 episodes deep here, and I don't know what he is. Is he the goofy dude? Now granted, he has sword skills, he killed Armand, and that's about it. So as a villain, he's not set up very well, unless he's like the red herring and we get some other kind of villain at the end of this that's actually a setup for another thing, which I do not agree with. Whenever you do a story, you need to clearly delineate who your protagonists are and your antagonists. Now granted, your antagonist could be a small stepping stone that actually leads to a greater antagonist later on, but just to essentially be like, yes, this dude is going to be here for this, and then just actually it's just a stepping stone and you don't do much with them. If you have a character and you're using them in some kind of role, use them as effectively as possible. So I hope that kind of gets shaped out a little bit. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.